Smiley from the Energy Boutique with your energy forecast for June 2023. So welcome to June. Of course, the modern day calendar would tell you that June is the 6th month. And if we were to carry on with that belief, then we are tapping into the frequency of 6, Virgo related, where we reorganize, restructure our day-to-day life, where there's new tasks, new chores, new roles, new responsibilities coming into fruition, where we have to reshape, reframe our mind, our perspective on what absolutely needs to be done and grown upon. Well, we have to decide what it is that we're leaving behind. Of course, we're entering into June under Gemini season, the 3rd sign of the zodiac. And of course, the number 3 vibration and frequency leads us to the mental plane, leads us to new information, new details, new perspectives, new understandings. And because of the vibration of both 6 and 3 having the same ruler, which is Mercury, we are definitely in for some reframing, restructuring, reorganizing of our mind space, of our thoughts, of our ideas. Of course, June will transition into Cancer season. And may I just remind you that Cancer season triggers the summer solstice, which is a karmic reset. We are in Gemini season in order to open up our minds to experiment with new ideas, experiment with new changes, and then we get to building on those particular revelations when Cancer season hits. So of course, there's going to be an intensity that comes, especially towards the end of Gemini season, because of course, we are nearing the end of this first chapter of creation that of course kicked off when we entered into Aries season. We entered into the new astrological calendar, the new karmic battlefield, if you will. We are completing this first chapter. We are preparing to enter into the second chapter of karma. So also with that being said, if you haven't downloaded your Gemini season e-guide, I'm going to recommend you do so, because the first half of Gemini season, yes, was a little bit slow, a little bit stuck. Definitely because we were heavily weighted in earth energies. The second half, although, is going to become a little bit quicker, a little bit more accelerated, lots of changes, lots of surprises coming at us. And of course, with the astrology of June, which I'm going to cover here in a second, it makes sense on why we are going to have these energies shift. Before I jump into that, though, I think it's important to illuminate the fact that we start June off on a Thursday. Who rules over Thursdays? Well, Jupiter does. Jupiter is about growth and expansion, beliefs, abundance, and blessings. He's in Taurus energy for the first time in 12 years. We have a huge opportunity over this next year to build new realities, new circumstances, new routines, relationships, financial matters, new long-term goals. We are essentially taking the wisdom, the knowledge that we've accumulated through the tough love life lessons thus far. We are building something better out of the constructs, out of the foundations that have fallen apart. And because Jupiter magnifies where it is that we have to push the boundaries of our comfort zone, it is going to tie in very well with where it is that we are experimenting with new ideas, new paths, new decisions, new directions. It's important to also note that June 1st, which again, I'll talk about here in a second, we have Jupiter in a conjunction with the true node in this Taurus energy at 3 degrees, which hasn't happened for 12 years. So it is a very, very important time to understand that we are shifting our physical circumstances, our physical realities, and we will start seeing those particular new topics and themes actually manifest in our physical realms and, of course, be anchored in. I think it's also pretty notable to talk about the fact that the moon will be in Scorpio energy on the very first day of June. Scorpio energy, of course, a huge, huge transformation of the soul, of emotions, of spirit. And of course, a huge reminder on the eclipse energies that we just came out of, and a flashback to the last 18 months of our lives. Why is that, you may ask? Well, because the true node in the Taurus energy means that the south node is in Scorpio energy. And for the last 18 months, we've been going through a death rebirth series, a give and take, a destruction, a creation series. And the moon in Scorpio at this particular point in time is going to remind us of all the pain, all the trauma, all the deaths, endings, and closures that we've had to endure, and really take a good look at the space that it's created within our lives, within our circumstances, and really get down to the nitty gritty on what it is that we want to build in its place. Keep in mind that the moon cycle that we're in at this time is waxing. We're building towards the full moon in Sag that, of course, will be taking place on the 3rd. So we're essentially coming into June under the full moon's energy. And there is a reflection back over the last 18 months of what it is that we had to let go of, what we had to put an ending and a death to in order to create something new in its place. And of course, realizing what we're walking away from only provides us an opportunity to build the possibilities on what it is that we would like to be walking closer to. So there's a lot of energy here in June, and we're definitely going to feel the highs, the lows, the everything in between of the sorts. And let me just give you a rundown on the astrology that we will be kind of moving through and helping to refine our thoughts, our ideas, our energy throughout the month of June. So as I mentioned, June 1st, we have a very huge event between Jupiter and the true node, the north node, which of course means that if Jupiter and the north node are sitting together and teaming up in order to create a change, a manifestation of the path and the direction that we're moving into and what it is that we're going to build upon and bring to life over the next year, that means that Jupiter is essentially sitting across from and opposing the south node in that Scorpio energy. And we're going to feel that double fold just because the moon will be in Scorpio on that first day of June. So take a look in your chart where it is that the Taurus energy rules over, because this is where Taurus energy is going to really shake you up, wake you up on what it is that you need to build and create, what it is you need to boss up to, what it is that you need to level up to in your physical realm, in your physical circumstances. And as I previously mentioned, we come into the month under the full moon energy, already active. Although the moon is in Scorpio at the time, we will be moving into Sag energy shortly thereafter, which sets us up for June 3rd's full moon in Sag. Taking place at 15 degrees, this is going to illuminate a brand new truth, brand new purpose, brand new mission, brand new direction, brand new path. Mostly by illuminating some information and details that are going to kind of emerge out of the darkness, out of the woodwork, that will totally shift our perception and projection on where it is that we want to pour our time and energy into. And again, a lot of these energies, especially in June, is showing us what it is that we need to move away from, and in that revelation, figure out what it is that we would desire actually moving closer to. The desire word is going to be a big hot topic word here in June, because we have Venus joining the masculine energy of Mars already in this Leo energy. Venus shifts into Leo energy June 5th, the heart and soul of the zodiac. You best believe that the masculine and feminine energies that kind of spend eternity chasing each other around the cosmos, only kind of gifted with an opportunity to mingle, to connect, to reset the karmic energies of masculine and feminine energies, not only within us, but on the collective playing field as well. They are both in the heart and soul of the zodiac. And keep in mind that Venus will be going retrograde in this Leo energy when she reaches the 28th degree. And again, keep in mind that there is a huge connection to the new moon in Taurus that we just had May 19th that Venus ruled over, and what it is that she will be retracing her steps, refining, restructuring, reorganizing in her life in order to create the most happiness, the most joy, the most pleasure, the best situation of creation for reality in our lives that, of course, are going to help us not only build a life that looks good, but feels just as good as well. So then we dive into June 11th, major day, major shift for a couple of reasons. First of all, we have Pluto, the great transformer himself, who is already retrograde in this Aquarian energy, dipping back into Capricorn energy. You best believe the weight that got lifted off of our shoulders back in March when we made the transition into Aquarian energy will, for some length of time, be put back on our shoulders. Why is that? Well, because we were so anxious to get away from this Capricorn energy that we just left. We didn't tie up the loose ends. We didn't make sure that there was a certain amount of closure. We didn't totally deconstruct our renovation zone in the correct manner, in the correct way. So there's just a whole bunch of debris, old structures still kind of intact. We are going to have the opportunity to kind of go back, see what we have to close the door on, see what we have to tidy up, see what structures and foundations in our physical realms need to be dismantled and dissolved in such a way that we weren't brave or courageous enough, or maybe even knowledgeable enough back at the beginning of the year to understand that this needed to be done. And here we are, gifted with another opportunity to go back to the beginning of the year, see the things that we were too quickly able to run away from, and what it is that we kind of have to clean up as far as this Capricorn energy goes before we kind of go direct in the fall again, re-enter into the Aquarian energy in 2024, do this cha-cha-cha until we set up permanent shop in the Aquarian energy late November 2024. So although there is going to be major changes and transformations taking place to our physical realm where structures and foundations and power and control are concerned, Pluto being retrograde is an internalization of this power, of this energy, where we have to rebuild, restructure, reorganize our psyche. Take the power back in our mind, take control back in our mind, step into the creator mode of our mind space before we're going to be able to take action in our physical realms. And then the second powerful aspect taking place on the 11th is Mercury, who clears his post-shadow period June 1st, mind you. He is the ruler of Gemini season. He is on the throne. Well, he's really going to be on top of his game on the 11th when Mercury moves into his place of power in Gemini energy. Talk about making up for lost time. Talk about ideas. Talk about epiphanies. Talk about new information. Talk about new revelations, aha moments. There is going to be a major shift in our mental space, in our perspective, in our understanding, in our thoughts, in our strategy, in our planning that will hit when Mercury enters into Gemini energy. There's going to be a lot of pressure in the mental plane, but it's going to be very needed. And of course, this is going to trigger the halfway point in Gemini season, where now we kind of move out of the stagnancy, move out of the state of paralysis, and move into an acceleration time period where we're making up for lost time. We're going to see a lot of productivity, a lot of progress definitely be had by the end of Gemini season, because of course we are entering into the summer solstice and Cancer season here very shortly, which is going to show us where it is that our time, energy, and effort is needed into stabilizing, creating, and building new structures and foundations in our realm, especially where our home, our family is concerned, where boundaries are concerned when it comes to taking care of ourselves. So the 17th, we're going to have Saturn, the Lord of Karma, ruling over structures and foundations, roles and responsibilities, going retrograde at 7 degrees in Pisces energy. So again, the energy gets internalized. We move inward. We have to kind of take a good look at our fears, our doubts, our insecurities. We have to kind of take a good look at where we need to be more disciplined, have more willpower, really roll up our sleeves, take action in destabilizing, dismantling, deconstructing our old systems of belief in order to open up a space for us to build something new in its place. And of course, we won't see that major change or transformation in our external realms until Saturn goes direct again, which will take place in the fall. But just know that we are retracing our steps back to March when Saturn first entered into Pisces. We have a different perspective, different information, different illumination, different dreams, different visions, different aspirations. We've all jumped timelines. Some of us, multiple timelines in the short amount of time. So we do get to kind of sit back, see all that is changed, see the roles and responsibilities that we now have to boss up into, and really kind of reorganize, realign, recalibrate our inner realms to match that vibration and frequency so that when Saturn goes goes direct, we're able to take charge in our physical realms and our exterior circumstances and make those renovations to our outer realm as we've already made in our inner realm. June 18th, we will have the new moon in Gemini energy at 26 degrees. So again, very late in the season. A lot of that is because, of course, we had the new moon in Taurus on May 19th, and then we entered into Gemini season just a couple of days later, which means that we are essentially starting a brand new emotional cycle that, of course, the moon kind of suggests that we're in before we move into a totally different energy, a totally different zodiac sign, which has an interesting dynamic. And if you were to look at Gemini energy as the headspace that we're arriving to a certain point, a certain choice, a certain decision under the new moon to set the intentions down on what it is that we want to accomplish for this next lunar cycle, we also have to understand that we're going to dip into Cancer season just a couple of days later, which not only provides us with that karmic reset, but also dips us into our emotional realm. So this, again, is another attempt to get our heart and our head on the same page. Again, reminder, we're in the year of 7, where we have to find balance and peace and harmony, first within ourselves, second within the relationship dynamics with other people, and third with the world around us. So having our heart and our head constantly pushed out of our comfort zones means that we will always have to have this window of opportunity to get them back in alignment. The new moon in Gemini at 26 degrees, again, is more about understanding what we're letting go of, what we're closing the door on, what we're seeing an ending to, more so than it is understanding the complete strategic, calculated details of the plan that we're looking to move forward and execute. The more we understand what we're no longer aligned with, what we no longer want to experience, the more we create the space to come up with new ideas on what it is that we want to fill up in its place. So again, at 26 degrees, this is very indicative that we are closing a 2-year cycle and that we are opening a door up to really kind of push the boundaries of our mental plane and our inner narrative for the next 2-year cycle. Special mention, June 19th, Jupiter will sextile with Saturn, who will be retrograde, both at 7 degrees. Now, this is a good energy because Jupiter is growth while Saturn is restriction. But Jupiter is growing our exterior realms while Saturn is restricting our actions as far as our current vibration and frequency of belief goes. Saturn is internalized, kind of restructuring our belief system, our willpower, our discipline, attacking our fears, our doubts, our insecurities. And from that, Jupiter in this Taurus energy is anchoring in new cornerstone foundational structures, if you will, on what we now believe is possible by eliminating some of those negative thoughts, some of those negative narratives. There is this push and shove going on, but this is a sextile. It's a beautiful energy. It's a harmonization, which means that we will gently see ourselves ease into new circumstances that, yes, may feel uncomfortable, and yes, do test our beliefs within ourselves, within what is possible for us in our journey, but it's kind of like a welcomed adventure. We are opening up the door. We're saying, come on in. Yes, I'm uncomfortable in this new environment, but let's anchor in. Let's see what we can do with it. Let's see where it is that I can grow through what it is that I'm about to go through. June 21st, Cancer season triggers the summer solstice. Again, Cancer season, a water sign, highly emotional, highly intuitive, very focused on rebuilding, re-strengthening the foundations and the structures in our physical realm and in our emotional realm. This comes down to understanding that the summer solstice, again, is a closing of a karmic chapter that we began back in Aries season. It's also a reset for the karma of this particular chapter of creation. This is going to take us into the fall. So now we get to kind of see where it is that we have been experimenting with new thoughts, new narratives, new ideas, and where it is that we're actually going to take action on building on these particular topics and themes. The Cancer energy does have us a little bit more introverted, a little bit more fluid to go with the changes that are coming at us, but very focused on reconstructing the boundaries in our lives, the boundaries in our relationships in order to protect us us emotionally. Of course, consider the fact that we just had Venus spend her time in Cancer energy illuminating for us where it is that we had to be better at taking care of ourselves and implementing the kind of boundaries needed in order for us to feel safe and secure, not only in our physical realms, but emotionally speaking as well. It was pulling back the reins of being able to pour the time, energy, and attention into other people and reserve enough for ourselves to nurture ourselves back to a place of health and wellness. That brings us to the 26th, when Mercury is going to move out of his place of power and he dives into Cancer energy as well. Mercury being in Cancer energy is like meshing the heart and the head, meshing our logical, practical self with our intuitive self. This is going to be a beautiful time for us to be a little bit more expressive with what it is that we need, what it is that we want, what it is that we desire. Really explore and experiment with different ideas on what it is that we could do to create those particular environments within our current circumstances. And of course, imagination is going to run wild with new downloads, new insight, new ideas that we logically and practically sort through in order to figure out how we can actually bring them into the realm of existence. It is going to be a dramatic change from that pressurized system of Mercury being in Gemini in its place of power. But trust me, the short amount of time that Mercury is in his place of power while also having rulership over the season, it's going to be a welcome change, a welcome break. It will be mentally exhausting for us to stay there any longer than we have to. And so having Mercury kind of shift into Cancer energy is going to be another realignment, another recalibration between the heart, between the head. And that kind of brings us to our last event of June, which is June 30th. We have Neptune going retrograde at 27 degrees in Pisces energy. So Neptune is about our dreams, our fantasy, our intuition, our soul self. Pisces energy is about endings and closures and really examining where it is that we have to kind of put to death certain fears and doubts and insecurities that stand in our way of actually bringing forth the vision, the daydream, the fantasy that we've illuminated that we want to experience in our headspace. When Neptune goes retrograde, the universe slaps us, bitch slaps us, if you will, and it knocks the rose-colored glasses straight up off of our faces. We're not able to fantasize. We're not able to have strong intuitive insights. We can't run. We can't hide. We have to deal with the harsh truths, the harsh realities that we have been running from. No, it doesn't sound that pleasant, but let me just say that, Neptune goes retrograde for 4.5 to 5 months every year. And every year we have major progress. When we can't run, we can't hide, we can't paint people in the colors in which we prefer to see them. We have to accept life for as it is. And that means rolling up our sleeves, dealing with the consequences of our actions up until now, and karmically speaking, doing what we have to do to close the door on particular chapters so that when Neptune goes direct again and we get to put those rose-colored glasses onto our face and get to dreaming about the next stage of our lives, about the next stage of our manifesting and creation series, that we actually have new vision, new dream, new life, new faith, new spirit backing us in those pursuits, because of course we get down in the trenches while Neptune is retrograde and really try to clean things up, especially karmically speaking. So that is just a general overview on what we can expect for the month of June. I am going to encourage you to download the e-guides. Download your zodiac forecast. That gives you the most information that you could possibly have to navigate this month and the energies thrown at us with as much grace and as much ease as possible. Of course, I will be diving into each of these astro events in a lot more depth, a lot more detail as they come to pass. So if you're ready, I want you to sit back, get your chart in front of you so that you know where these energies are going to pop off in the month of June. And let's explore what the astro forecast, what these energies are going to mean for our evolution throughout the month of June.